Yo, 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 everyone. See, I did promise you I would try and go live today at some point. We'll turn off the crazy music for now. Nothing too important today, folks. Just chilling out, having a coffee, seeing if I'm going to do a show tonight or not, looking at some news. And I thought, why not just turn on the live stream? You know, just turn on the button, chill out with you people out there. Going to be doing a lot more of this as time goes on as well. Got a couple of stories to get into, but really, to be honest with you, it's more about chilling out than anything else. Spending a bit more time getting used to the live stream software, share a couple of thoughts, get a couple of jokes. Like I say, have a coffee. No joints involved, honestly. If you can believe this face, you can believe anything. So, yeah, we'll have some good fun with this. So just fix something on the stream. I see the chat going a bit mad. There we go. There it is there. So, what's Kristen saying in the chat? She is saying, hey everyone, you too, Scruffy. You better give me kudos as I'm listening to a 2-minute ad just for you. You see, that's the KBSers out there. They go that extra mile for yours truly here. But yeah, I was just looking at some stuff today, and I wrote a quick article for everyone over on Patreon, and that's another way that you can support the stream here, the show, if you like what you see. Listen, I don't churn out hundreds of content. I'm really going to start to make a real concerted effort to put more articles out there, more audio files, the kind of things that you're only going to get on Patreon. Keeps kind of exclusive stuff for on there. But I tell you what, folks, I was watching a video today. I'll just bring this up here. And I think this is really important that we all get our head around this. It's something we've heard about before, fair enough, right? But deepfakes. Now, this channel here is James Corbett, the Corbett Report. Now, I'm not sure how James is with copyright, stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to refer you all to this video, and I'm going to drop it in the chat room for everyone so you can watch it after this stream. This stream's only going to be about an hour or so long, maybe, fingers crossed, hopefully. I know what it's like when you get streaming. Sometimes you get kind of lost in it and you end up going for hours and hours. Look at my good pal, Unirock. I've seen him sitting there for maybe 5, 6, 7 hours before. And I know how he can do it, because you just get lost in the moment. You keep on talking, and one story leads to another. And before you know it, time flies by, and it'll be time for tonight's show. But I don't want to do that. So it's this deepfakes I want to talk about. Like I say, I put together an article for the Patreons over there. You can find that the Kev Baker Show, the Patreon page. And really, this is something we're all going to have to really wrap our heads around, especially coming up towards a new election. Because as you can see from the quote here on the screen, I think this kind of basically says it all. We know our disinformation program is complete when everything the American public believes is false. Now, I wish this was confined to America, because it wouldn't affect people on my side of the pond. But this is a global phenomenon, folks. And in this information age, with the internet, people streaming, there's information coming from here, there, everywhere. And I don't know about all of you out there, but even myself, somebody who's been looking at stuff for year after year, you would think, like anything else, typically, you'd get better over time, right? You would get more kind of clued up as to the way things roll, the way stories usually go, what it means when you see something or you hear something. But as opposed to that, it's getting harder and harder to tell because of misinformation, disinformation, propaganda, people just not putting in enough time to do the research and going off half-baked, usually myself included there. And we end up, we don't know what to believe. We truly do not know what to believe. And I honestly think as we approach this next election, 2020, it's not exactly prophetic of me to come out and say to you that this is going to be the first time, I think, that we're going to see deepfakes really making it into the mainstream news. For two reasons, or two possible scenarios. We could have one side or the other using it against their opponent to make them look like they've been caught in some compromising position. Maybe they've been caught on a phone call saying something that goes against everything that they're saying publicly. And what in reality that will be is it'll be entirely made up. I'll get into how they do this in a moment, but it's going to be entirely fictional, but it's going to sound and look like whoever it is they're targeting. So that's going to bring the whole cry of deepfake to the election. But there's another way as well that it might come into the whole kind of rhetoric that's used, all the kind of shenanigans that go on. And that's if somebody genuinely gets caught doing something that they shouldn't be doing, genuinely gets recorded saying something that's very, very compromising, or some video is caught of them that puts them in a really, really shitty position, right? Now, even though that's real, they'll still be able to try and deflect attention from it by crying deepfake. And that's why we're in a really, really weird place right now, because even though it's hard as it is to try and discern what is and what isn't going on in the world, we're about to have that multiplied and then some. Because quite literally, we're not even going to be able to believe our own eyes anymore. And it's not just video, it's not just audio, but you've got articles and writing that comes into all of this as well. And I've sometimes spoke about the whole Elon Musk open AI project. And there's a story out there about the AI that was too dangerous to release. It's all about unicorns. Now, I've never really gone into any great detail on the show what it means by it's all about unicorns. But I've got an example of exactly what it means just here. So deepfakes, you've got video, deepfakes, you've got audio, but you've also got this text generator as well. And it's something called, just get my notes here. Yeah, I've got notes. GPT-2, and that stands for Generative Pre-Trained. Now, when it comes to deepfakes, the thing to, if you're into the techie side of things, all this is, it's basically taking advantage of a machine learning technique called generative adversarial networks. And what they're able to do is either analyze vast quantities of data via images, video, or audio files, or in the case of OpenAI's GTP2 or GPT-2, it's able to analyze lots of text, that data sets. We've often talked on the show about how the AI is only as good as the data it gets. The more data it gets, funnily enough, the better it gets. And this is never so obvious as to like a perfect example of this when we come to this thing, the unicorns. And you know me with my unicorns coming from Scotland, right? I remember getting into a spat over on Twitter at one point. I'm not even going to give the person credit by shouting their name out. Just an entirely despicable individual altogether, right? But the best thing that they could get on me to attack me was the fact that in the weeks prior to this Twitter spat that we had, I'd done a show about unicorns. That was the best insult they could get on me. Oh, you believe in unicorns. So that's why I often laugh when we come back to the whole unicorn subject, all right? But if I bring this up here, what's Kev talking about unicorns for? It becomes clear in a moment, right? Because we're talking about deepfakes. We're talking about not being able to tell what's real, what isn't. And in this time, for all of us here, I would imagine, like myself, all of you watching, we're all infoholics, right? We're all info junkies. We can't get enough of this stuff. Even in amongst all this confusion and craziness that's going on, we just can't get enough of this. It must be the way our brains are wired or something like that. And more and more and more, it's already getting hard to tell what's real and what's not. You know, this hyper reality that we're in. And I think that's all to do with the amount of information that's coming our way constantly via the screen, via, you know, audio suggestions, via every form possible. And with 5G as well, it only gets amplified. But let's get back to the unicorns before I forget. You see, I get lost in my train of thought here. And it says better language models and their implications. So it says we've trained a large-scale, unsupervised language model which generates coherent paragraphs of text, achieves state-of-the-art performance on many language modeling benchmarks, and performs rudimentary reading comprehension, machine translation, questioning answers or question answering, and summarizations, all without task-specific training. So I'm not going to go through this whole part of the article, the technical side of things, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, basically, if you were to write a paragraph, any paragraph, and then give it to this neural network, this machine learning process that takes place, what happens is it analyzes your paragraph, and then because of the data sets that it's been analyzing, and in this case, in GPT-2's case, it was fed everything from Reddit. Now, I know there'll be people out there thinking, but Reddit's full of misinfo, disinfo. It's purely about the language here, folks. It's analyzing text. It's looking at one word and seeing what comes after that word, typically. And from there, it's able to build upon what's come before, and you get a story. You get this piece of text. Now, the one in question today is the programmers. They decided to come up with a paragraph that was about unicorns. Just a paragraph of prose about unicorns, and then they gave it to the machine. And what we're going to do now is we're going to look at what the machine came up with after being fed this initial piece of text. Now, the initial piece of text is, let's see if this is the one here. Yes. So bear in mind, this was the humans that wrote this, okay? This was basically what they fed into the AI. And it says, in a shocking finding, scientists discovered a herd of unicorns living in a remote, previously unexplored valley in the Andes Mountains. Even more surprising to the researchers was the fact that the unicorns spoke perfect English. Now remember, this is just a paragraph of text from the researchers, from the developers, that they used as a sample to give to the AI, and basically said to the AI that's been analysing all of the text and all of the links that come from Reddit to get an idea of how language is formed, how things go, how sentences are structured. And by the way, there wasn't actually too much training involved in this. This was just fed vast swaths of data and basically allowed to go for it itself. And what comes next is startling. Now bear in mind, what you're seeing here from this point forward was generated by this AI, this neural network. So it's talking about unicorns in the first one. So what does it come up with for itself? Well, the scientist named the population after their distinctive horn, Ovid's unicorn. These four-horned silver-white unicorns were previously unknown to science. Now let's just stop there right away, okay? Because in the first paragraph we've got, in a shocking finding, a scientist discovered a herd of unicorns. So immediately we can see that this AI, from that 4 lines of text, has determined it's been able to spot the fact that this is a scientific study. It's naming the actual creature that's been described above. And okay, 4 horns. It's probably not something that we would typically, assign to a unicorn. But let's see how it goes from here. Now, after almost 2 centuries, the mystery of what sparked this odd phenomenon is finally solved. Dr. Jorge Perez, an evolutionary biologist from the University of La Paz, and several companions. And let me stop there, because that is absolutely huge. That's huge. Why do I say that's huge? Well, think about it. Because the AI has taken all of that from this 4 lines here. It's noticed that we're looking at the Andes Mountains, okay? It's actually noticed that. It's learned from that. And it's made this specific to that region. It's picked a university that's close. And I'm not sure if Dr. Jorge Perez is real or not. There's a good chance that somebody was writing about Dr. Jorge Perez over on Reddit, and that's where it picked it up. But you can see, just already so far, how advanced and how hard it would be to tell what's human and what's not. At least when you've got the deepfake videos, you can use your own eyes for now. There are certain telltale glitches. And AI itself, there's algorithms out there that's trained to spot them. But when you're reading something like this, so much of communication goes beyond just words. You know, you've got body language, you've got pitch and tone, all that kind of thing. When you're reading something like this is really hard to tell, really hard to determine what's real and what's not. Talk about the uncanny valley. So it gets worse. It doesn't get worse, it gets better depending on what way you're looking from. It says, we're exploring the Andes Mountains when they found a small valley with no other animals or humans. Now, Perez noticed that the valley had what appeared to be a natural fountain, surrounded by two peaks of rock and silver snow. Perez and the others then ventured further into the valley. Quote, by the time we reached the top of the peak, the water looked blue with some crystals on top, said Perez. Now, how lifelike is that? I mean, would a human really say something like that? I don't know. I don't know, but at least it's like structuring this article. It's got quotes from people in there. It's going pretty deep. And I'm not surprised they decided not to release this, okay? It says Perez and his friends were astonished to see the unicorn herd. These creatures could be seen from the air without having to move too much to see them. They were so close they could touch their horns. Now, while examining these bizarre creatures, the scientists discovered that the creatures also spoke some fairly regular English. Perez stated, we can see, for example, that they have a common language, something like a dialect or a dialectic. Now, Dr. Perez believes that the unicorns may have originated in Argentina, where the animals were believed to be descendants of a lost race of people who lived there before the arrival of humans in those parts of South America. This is an AI that's coming up with all of this, folks, and all it started with was a one paragraph about how scientists had discovered a unicorn that spoke English in the Andes. This is amazing. It's terrifying and amazing at the same time, right? It says, while the origins are still unclear, some believe that perhaps the creatures were created when a human and a unicorn met each other in a time before human civilization. Did that human defile the unicorn? Damn! Who knew? So it says, according to Perez, in South America, such incidents seem to be quite common. Wow. Eh? I never knew things like that went on in South America. And if there's anyone from South America watching this right now, remember, I'm not saying this is factual, folks. This was an AI that made this up, but it makes you think, right? So it says, however, Perez also pointed out that it's likely that the only way of knowing for sure if unicorns are indeed descendants of a lost alien race is through DNA. But they seem to be able to communicate in English quite well, which is quite a sign of, which I believe is a sign of evolution, or at least a change in social organization, said the scientist. That is pretty weird, right? And that's the AI that Elon Musk and the developers said we can't let out there onto the net, not because it generates what they call fake news, but because along with all the other AI programs that are out there, and a lot of talk of bots, botnets, stuff like that being used to inflate views and activity on YouTube videos or over on Twitter, and that helps to kind of game the algorithm into pushing it further up into people's newsfeed, into their attention. You know, you imagine something like this. I mean, there's no way, and that's what they were saying when you start to look into this. Programmers were saying there's no way to even train an AI to actually combat this, because you could give that AI that same paragraph about the unicorns, okay? And all you have to do is press reset, and it's going to write an entirely new article. It changes every single time and gets better and better and better and better. It's mind-boggling. And I'm going to be going to the chat room as well today. Don't panic, folks. I just wanted to bring this story up because the whole Corbett report video, I'll bring that up again here, James Corbett, that really got me thinking about this. It prompted me to write a little article about deepfakes. And I'm convinced that with this 2020 election coming up, that this is going to be a thing that hits the news big time. We're either going to have somebody accused of using deepfakes to smear somebody, or we're going to see real footage and somebody will claim it's deepfake in an attempt to smear them. But in reality, what we're seeing is real. And in reality, we're not going to be able to tell anymore. And I was having a conversation with my good friend Nancy last night. And there's a lot of talk about when you get a gut feeling. And I go with that a heck of a lot. And I urge anyone out there who's listening to this, when you're going and doing the research or just reading stories in general, listen to your gut, okay? But not just your gut, because your heart is something that we need to get back into kind of tune with as well. And it's maybe one of the better barometers, stress tests for anything that we're looking at. A lot of discernment will come from there. And I heard David Icke talking about this the other day, which was synchronistic because Nancy brought it up randomly. I've been reading Icke's book, and they talk about the Heart Math Institute. Now, the heart, it's got neurons in there. It's literally like a mini brain. But in many respects, in many regards, it's more important than the brain. Because the brain, it's like us. It's an info junkie. And it's constantly been bombarded with photons and sound waves and everything else. And it loves that because it loves to look for patterns and construct things. And that's what makes up our reality, okay? But if we're not very careful, then that data can lead to a false perception of things. And it's only when you really take yourself and kind of quieten things down, and it's not new agey. Myself and Nancy were laughing about this last night. Think quantum. You have to really get in tune, get in harmony, that heart and head relationship. Because without the heart involved, it's really easy to end up taking in information and then our brains doing things with it that leave us with that false perception of reality. And when you've got a false perception in one area, one location in the data set, that can lead to, misperceptions throughout. So that's something that's really important. And it's a show that myself and Nancy are going to do sometime in the near future. We're going to get into the whole quantum side of things. And that does tie into all of this, folks. It truly does, especially when we're saying now, we're really entering a time when it's going to be hard to know what to believe. For me, for you. Imagine being a child growing up right now in a world where they're always going to have deep fakes. They're always going to have had this bombardment of information coming from the internet, TV, society in general. And now children born from, this time forward, they're always going to live in an environment with all of that plus 5G. You talk about hyper reality. I remember Jimmy Jeans used to talk about that a lot, this hyper reality. And the lines between fact and fiction, are they even there anymore? They used to say they were blurred. I can't even see it anymore. I really can't. So before I go to the chat and I look what's going on in the chat room, I just want to bring up one example that I found about this whole deepfake thing, and it comes from Twitter. And it's this here. And basically, it says, I asked Minimaxer to put a prompt about OpenAI into a smaller model of OpenAI to see what happens when AI writes an article about itself. So this is the same thing as the unicorns, only the human element of this is in the bold. And I'll bring it up here. OpenAI, an artificial intelligence research group co-founded by billionaire Elon Musk, has demonstrated a piece of software that can produce authentic-looking fake news articles after being given just a few pieces of information. And I called this coffee time with KBS, and I forgot I had a cup of coffee, right? So that bit that we read there, that bit in the bold at the top, that was what the human gave it. So this is what OpenAI had to say about itself, or GPT-2, should I say, in particular. In the first test, the program is able to read a news article from a computer and generate fake news reports based on that news. The researchers said they were able to verify that an article was fake in a number of ways through their computer's ability to read the content carefully and then by testing the article against a range of websites. Now, the system's findings were then applied to Facebook's trending newsfeed, which features a trending topic and a picture of a woman sharing a photo from a bikini. Users were able to zoom in on a group of news articles and quickly see the picture of the woman, which was then automatically filtered out. The researchers said that this technique could work in more than 100 applications, and for example, it could also work in mobile applications. The results were published in the Journal of Scientific Reports, and the researchers added that their work suggests the artificial intelligence could be used to craft news that is maximally informative, and we are confident it will soon be the technology the real scientists can use to create stories that capture the world. All of that by an AI. None of it true. All of that just entirely composed because of that 4 lines of text at the top. You know? That's truly, I find it weird. I find it amazing. It's uncanny valley stuff. I don't know what's real and what's not anymore, folks. So we're going to jump back into the big screen. You can look at my ugly mushroom. We'll see what's going on out there in chat land. Well, I'll just pull up the chat on my end here. See what people are saying. I want to thank you all, of course, for tuning in today. It's great to have you here. And of course, the chat isn't loading up on my screen. There it is. There we go. So we've got Jimbo Mac in there. We've got Queen Goddess. Seen Queen Goddess here a few times in recent days. That's good. Lee Veltman. How's it going, Lee? How's things out there in LARP land? I know you love to keep your finger on the pulse of all that stuff. We've got Mick Mac. We've got Kristen, of course. One of our members, Jules Gilchrist. Jules, it's great to have you here. And I'm not sure where you're from, Jules. Maybe you're over here in the UK. And I have to apologise to the UK audience, right? Because I do a lot of live streams at what could be considered like vampire hours over here. You know, middle of the night kind of stuff. And there's a reason for that. And that's because the analytics, they basically tell me that most of the audience comes from the US or other parts of the world. And if I do a live stream at 1 a.m. here in the UK, I'll find I'll probably get more views on that than I would at, say, prime time in the UK, 8, 9 o'clock at night. It's weird, I know. But that's why, starting to do daytime streams, we can chill out. And of course, every couple of days, I'll just do a purely Ask Me Anything stream. Or you can bring me stories and we'll dig up the kind of information live on the screen. That kind of thing. We'll have a laugh with it. You know how I like to roll. Yeah, there's a serious side to life, but I often kind of like to put it out there with a smile on my face, shall we say. We've got Mr. Jones, very official. Philip Blair. We have got Brett Munson. I think I've done Mick Mac. Brian cannot tell. Is that cannot tell or cannot tell? I don't know. But you're one of the members as well. And of course, people, if you want to become a member. And Jules is saying, I work so much these days that I have to catch the replay. I think everyone's in that situation. And I miss work so much. See, when you've worked all your life, every day, and that's not a moan because I enjoyed, some people are workers, some people hate it. I enjoyed it. And I must admit, since the old heart attacks a couple of years ago, I've been kind of lost, rattling about the house, not knowing what to do. So that's another reason for me to put more content out on here and spend more time doing this and spend more time with all of you. Anne's at work, Kevin's at the football. What else could I be doing right now, right? So we've got Tessa in there. Gonna go have a brekkie, be back later. Must be early in the morning over there. And Lee says he's tired of the LARPing LARPers, but they are fun to make fun of. Absolutely, dude. That's what I do at the weekends. That's one of my guilty pleasures, shall we say. I take maybe a half an hour or an hour to go and poke fun at some of the more ridiculous LARPs that are being played out online right now. And for anyone who doesn't know what a LARP is, it's a live action role play, right? It used to be things like Dungeons and Dragons and people would meet up and maybe costumes and things. But now we're in the technological internet information age and LARPs take place online. And if you want to check out the whole LARPing scenario, I urge you, follow my good friend Unirock. He will keep you up to date with most of the stuff going on there. So we've got Jules, she's saying, in Richmond, Virginia, also known as the TV giving Santa town. Excellent! That was that place. Did everyone see that story when myself and Scott covered it the other day? Let me just pull up the headline here. Probably one of the weirdest stories I've seen in a long, long time. And did anyone, like, let me go back to the chat a moment. Let me just go back to the chat. Now, Jules, tell me, has there been any kind of follow-up to that story? Did the mystery gang of TV heads get caught? You can let me know in the chat while I dig this up for people to look at. TV set head Virginia. That should bring it up, right? Yeah, that brings it up. Here we go. We'll go back into this one. It's ABC News.
Toilet paper or graffiti, but one Virginia neighborhood has been left puzzled after a prankster left dozens of old TV sets on people's front porches. Take a look at the bizarre video.
Look, you can see it here, folks. I hope you can see it anyway. It's like somebody with a TV on their head. Well, literally a TV on their head. And they're going around Virginia. It was a neighborhood. And I think they delivered something like 50 different TVs. They were old TVs as well. It's bizarre.
Wearing a TV set while dropping off the old sets and then walking off. Pretty bizarre. Outdated boxes were found in front of more than 50 homes. Local police say it appears to be nothing more than a prank, but that the only crime committed here is illegal dumping.
I don't know. There's something weird about this. I don't know why. There's just something weird about it. I'm sure whoever was doing this, right, had a good couple of smokes before they done it. Would have seemed like a really good prank idea at the time. And as far as pranks go, I mean, they've made national news. So, I mean, you know, fair play, hats off to whoever done this. But yeah, Jules, let me come back to the chat, see if there's been an update, see if Jules has said anything. No, she's not got back to me yet. And we've got Brett from Massachusetts. Do you like how I said that, Brett? Joe Joseph taught me how to say that. Yes, he taught me the correct pronunciation for that. I think we'll put some music on in the background, right? How's that? Cool? Not too loud? No, that's it in the background. I don't think it's too loud anyway. So yeah, we'll see what else is going on in the chat right now. I've maybe got one more story we can go to. Brian says, that's a great prank. It is. It is definitely a great prank. Jules, nothing yet. So there's no update on the crazy TV people. That's bizarre. Give me 2 secs, folks. I just need to go and grab some. Okay, we're back, and folks, don't be dropping phone numbers into the chat room. You know, somebody tried to post a phone number there, and for their benefit, I've hidden that message. Not because I'm trying to censor you, but I'm thinking of what bad people might do if they see that phone number. You know, you could end up getting prank calls. You talk about the TV and the pranking with that stuff, you'll end up getting prank calls for the rest of your life, dude. So, listen, if you need to get in touch with me, head on over to Twitter. You can find me, Kev Baker Show, on there. Send me a direct message, and that'll be a safer way of passing any kind of phone numbers or stuff like that. Again, I'm saying it for your benefit. I'm trying to... Who was it? Avatar? Yeah, Avatar. Not censoring you, dude. I'm just looking after your personal details. So we'll go back to the chat. Hopefully the music's not too loud. Nice one, Kev. I'm in the East End. Jim Kelly. Hey, Jim. Awesome, man. I'm about, where am I? Well, I'm in the Carlton. Somebody else dropping phone numbers into the chat room. Come on, folks. What are you doing? What's that all about? Remove. Never a good idea dropping phone numbers into the chat room, folks. I don't think that's a good idea. Yeah, Lee, I see you laughing at that. Trust you to be laughing at that one. Damn. Kristen in there. Jenny. Who do I turn to? So where's the... I must have missed the first part of that. So you folks out there, anything you want me to look at right now? Anything off the top of your head? Kev, no truth reporter will cover our story, which is media blocked and covered up by corrupt police in the UK. Avatar, like I say, I would like to see what your story is, see what we can do. You know me. If there's a story out there, I'll take it to KBS. Probably to my detriment, that I really don't care. And the more controversial the story, especially if I find out there's cover-ups and things going on, who wouldn't want to touch that, right? And yeah, Kristen. Oh, it's all right, okay. You see, Kristen, this is the thing, I'm getting old. That wasn't even a phone number that the other person had put. It was a song lyric, so my bad, Stimuli, my bad. I'll take a little drink of my coffee and eat some humble pie now, right? Seeing what else we've got on the what is it Joe Joseph calls it in the grab bag? Grab bag? It's a browser, right? It's not a grab bag, Joe. I've got one more thing we can get into today before I let you get back to it. And of course, I've got to get ready for tonight's show as well. Kristen, she's at the eye doctor right now and she's trying not to burst out laughing. Come on, you know that was funny, right? You know I knew it was a song lyric. I didn't actually think that was a phone number. You know that. And Kristen, see if you could give Avatar, Lee Veltman laughing as well. You're a pair of buggers, you really are. It's just as well I've spoke to both of you in real life. Well, I think you're real. Maybe you're deepfakes, I don't know. I'm only joking, but I'll let you two off with it. I forgot what I was going to say now. Yeah, if you want to give Avatar my Twitter handle, I think it's at Kev_Baker_show. You can find me on there, Avatar. Send me a direct message and I'll get right back to you later today, okay? Well, it won't be right back to you if you're later today. That was a bit of a kind of oxymoron, right? So I've got one more story we can get into, and it is relevant to the whole technology thing. We'll keep it on a technology theme today. And myself and Charlie Robinson, absolutely love Charlie Robinson. Go and check him out, the Octopus of Global Control. I need to put that music off because that's my clown music that started now. See, we can't have that. Can't have clown music on when I'm talking about Charlie Robinson. That's just wrong, right? So, yeah, myself and Charlie, we were talking about this crazy social credit scoring system in China, right? I'm sure you've all heard about it. It's not like I'm telling you anything new. This is the thing where, you know, if you don't have a high enough score, you can't get on public transport, you can't book a holiday, you can't buy a house. And talk about Orwellian. It's not 1984, it's 2084. We need to update Orwell's book because he didn't see this whole technological kind of thing, this beast that we've got now. I've got a story here that brings it a lot closer to home, especially if you're in America. And the thing is, this is why it's important, because it's not just China. It might be just China just now, but this is a system that I think will come worldwide. Check this out. Social credit coming to the US. A report claims that score systems similar to China's are being used increasingly by Silicon Valley companies. Not coming, they're already being used. Perhaps not publicly all of the time, but all of us are being scored on our online activity. That terrifies me when you see some of my browser history. My word, the amount of lists that I must be on, the amount of things that I won't be able to do in the future. It's crazy. It truly is. It says here, just the bullet points, okay? Companies are turning to social scoring systems to judge users, a report claims. And insurance companies, for example, scan social media for dangerous activity. Ride-sharing platforms like Uber bans users with a low enough Uber rating. And other platforms could even ban people from bars using social scoring. Critics worry that it may subvert legal recourse and hinder civil rights. It may hinder civil rights, you think? Wow. I wonder what genius it took to come up with that idea. So it says here, social score systems popular in China are being increasingly adopted by Western companies like Airbnb and Uber. Corporations just now, but how long before maybe somebody that's a bit of breaking news, no, absolute garbage. How long before the government start rolling this out, maybe for people on benefits? You know, if you're wanting your government money, then you basically have to keep your credit score above a certain level. It's just a thought, right? But it says here, according to a report from Fast Company, an array of companies now use social credit systems, which assign people scores based on personal profiles and attributes to dictate everything from whether one can enter a bar to if they're allowed to use certain apps. Now, while that idea may sound Orwellian, again, what's this genius? James Perrow, genius. While this idea may sound Orwellian, it has already gained traction in China, where a government-run social score system can be the difference between a good and a bad credit score. In extreme cases, those who have been given a bad enough score are forbidden from using public transit, leaving the country, or being hired for some jobs. And according to Fast Company, those score systems are in the process of being rolled out nationally, with some features being tested locally. So like I say, this isn't something that's just going to stay out in the Far East. This is something that is a very real and, as we can see now, present. It's a presently used system, albeit on a smaller scale than the Chinese. I mean, when you look into that Chinese one, it's horrific. And even down here, I'll just play a couple of seconds of this. See if we can hear it. I've muted that tab, actually. Hang on. We'll unmute it. Right. Now, unfortunately, it's all in Chinese. There's no subtitles. I've been looking for it. Do you know what that is? That's a government-funded song to promote the Chinese social credit scoring system. Sent this to Ryan Gable earlier on today. We're going to get it translated somehow. You know, myself and Ryan like to look at like the crazy kind of side of pop and music and things. Well, that's literally government propaganda pop right down there. But it says here, how can Chinese citizens increase their social credit score? So say you're a bad lad, bad lassie, and now I'm going to have to include all other 45 genders or something. Just forgive me if I don't mention them all, okay? But you're sitting there and maybe you're thinking, damn, I need to go somewhere at the weekend, and the only way I can get there realistically, so thanks to the money I've got, is by train. So how can, is there anything I can do to go and improve my score? Well, it says here, details as to how it works and the algorithm it uses are thin on the ground. But certain behaviours have been found to be beneficial to boosting the score. And remember, this isn't just CCTV. It isn't just algorithms watching your online activity. You get trusted citizens. Now, in Glasgow, we call these people grasses, okay? You're a grass. You're like an informant. And that's definitely frowned upon in the East End of Glasgow. But in China, this is a real thing. And they go around, they look at your gardens. Maybe you dropped a cigarette end. Maybe you've done something just totally innocuous. It's totally unimportant, but these people are there. They're like government snoops watching your every move. So it says here, completing community service and buying Chinese products is thought to improve it, whereas fraud, tax evasion, And smoking in non-smoking areas can drop it. Companies that pay their takes, on time, and any bills also receive favour from the system. So companies, they're subject to this as well. That they've got a scoring system, improving their social credit standing. Now, in the pilot system, incentives are provided for those with high social credit score. Benefits include priority access to public housing, travel visas, and job promotions. Now, I've also seen one of the documentaries, and I can only take it at face value, folks. Don't know what to believe anymore, right? That much propaganda, misinformation, disinformation. And it talks about how you can go down to the local Communist Party office and you can make a donation, a charitable donation. And then miraculously, the bigger the charitable donation you make, the higher your social credit scoring will be adjusted. It's a blackmail. It's extortion, folks. That's open extortion, okay? Yeah, they can call it a charitable donation all they want, but you're lining the pockets of the Communist Party in China just to get that scoring right. And if you've got debt, you're going to be shamed. You'll be up on billboards. If you cross the road when it's a red light, you're going to be up on a billboard, named and shamed. It's a horrible, horrible world that, the Chinese are living in already. And it's coming over here soon. It only makes sense, when you've got all these smart cities popping up, all of that data, all of us being watched 24/7, morning, noon and night, all of our waking lives, all of our sleeping lives as well now, with all the technology that's out there, with Fitbits and everything else. All of that has been used for a reason. All of it's been gathered for a reason. And it's not conspiratorial. It truly isn't. Go and watch The Great Hack over on Netflix. And that gives you a real insight into what I'm talking about. It's not the social credit scoring system, but it's how all of this information can be used against you, how it can be used to steer you and manipulate you in a time when everyone is vying for our mental attention for one reason or another. You've got the mainstream media that are dying and they're clinging on with their fingertips, trying to, maintain that stranglehold on the perception, deception that they spin us with their lies. And then you move away from mainstream media, you come onto platforms like this where you think it's all going to be sugar and honey and everyone working together to get the truth out there. You're not going to get propagandized on here, are you? Better believe it. It's just so hard to know what's real and what isn't. And with all that going on at the same time, all of your data being used against you, it's almost like we're living in a movie. Minority Report, that comes to mind. Blade Runner. All of the sci-fi movies rolled into one. That's where we are right now. So I'm going to go into the chat room and I see just a guy in there. Shannon, my friend. I thought this would be too early for you, brother. And he says they've slowly been putting this in place for the last 60 years. Big time. And I'll keep on telling people to watch this. It's The Minds of Men, and that's by Aaron and Melissa Dykes. Good friends. I really need to get in touch with them and get them on a stream one day really soon. And yes, 60 years at least, Justa, isn't it? And just a guy, he sent me a whole heap of psychological operations documents as well. Why is that relevant? Because that lays out the framework for all of the shenanigans and all of the madness and all of the information that we're being bombarded with right now. What's real, what's not, what's psyop, what's not. That's why I'm just glad, we've only got 100 people in here, and people might say, well, you've only got 100 people watching your stream, Kev. That's nothing. That's amazing, because I just want to have people like me, not people that know everything, not people that are going to come in here and tell you that they know everything, but I can sense that we're all just trying to figure out how to go on with some level of normality, right? I would imagine that's why most of us are here. That and the fact we're info junkies and we spend far too much time on YouTube, but that's another story altogether. Okay, I spend far too much time on YouTube. But you've heard enough from me, all right? I'm going to go into the chat because I see Matthew Blackman in there as well. Always good points from Matthew. Avatar, I think you've been given the direct message thing now. We've got my doppelganger in there, Kev Baker. That's weird. It makes me think it's like a doppelganger, but then I have to think to myself, where's my son? Because he's got the same name as well, right? So somebody's asking, is it Nescafe? Of course it's Nescafe. Hod God. Hi everyone, been a long time. Hod God, it has been far too long. And then we have Kev Baker saying, get yourself in as much department as possible and just change gender or species. I probably read that out wrong. But Lee Veltman, biometrics and facial recognition software is getting scary. Big time. We've had court cases over here in the UK challenging this just lately. And I think back 6 years ago. 6 years ago, a lot happens in 6 years. And even back then, when we were at the Bilderberg in Watford, the facial recognition camera up in the corner. And it is, you forget it's even there, folks. We've all been there. We've all done it. We've all been out in public. We've all seen a camera, but then we've forgotten it's there. You've been watched all the time. But it only really hammered home to me about that facial recognition the next day at Bilderberg when one of the cops is talking to me by my first name. I'd been watching the YouTube videos. I'm thinking, what's going on here? And then it dawned on me, it's the facial recognition. Plus they're briefing about any activists. Not that you can call me an activist going. It's insane. It truly is insane. So it says, we have protections for public accommodations. And that's Philip. Stimuli. The primary result of this kind of system is heavy increase in junk mail. I think the main goal of a system like the social credit scoring, and it's obvious, I think, is to change our behaviour. It's literally over here, they're trying to change our behaviour more subtly by exposing us to different stimuli, different information, stuff like that. Whereas over there, it's more harsh, it's more in your face. They cut out the middleman of the brainwashing and they just tell you how you're going to act or you're going to get penalised. It's the same system, just different ways of adopting it and different ways that we experience it. That's how I think about it anyway. And then we've got Rika, the hopeful voluntarist. Black Mirror episode Nosedive. I don't think I've seen that one, Rika. I don't think I've seen that. But yeah, that is Black Mirror essential viewing. Bloody great, so it is. Matthew says, learn Kung Fu and search for your brother. And then we've got Hello. Man who gets screwed in divorce settlements with child support. Quite often they're high-paying jobs because it's not worth it. Okay. We've got Stimuli, just a guy. Get some music on, while I'm looking for this. Not that one. I like that one, though. Makes me think of Memology 101. The Master says, I talk a lot of shit. I think he says he's talking a lot of shit. That makes two of us, dude. Master, if you have the master of talking shite, then what you should do is create a YouTube channel and start making videos. Look where I am today. You see? That's how it's done, man. And Rika says, Chinese 80s music. That would be a good thing to put a parody to, wouldn't it? You could, put your own subtitles over the Chinese propaganda song. And that way you could, really pull the piss out of it. That's a thought. Maybe I'll do that. You know I'd get hit with a copyright from somewhere, right? What else we got? Philip Blair says, I bet it says super fantastic happy fun time. Only $5. I know it's not China, the $5, but it's funny, right? Kristen, thank you for passing on that message to Mr. Avatar. Stimuli, something you hear a lot, or stimulate. My bad. You won't be able to buy or sell without the mark of the beast. Yep, and if you come from that Christian mindset, then this probably could be viewed as a beast system, right? And you've got talk of microchips and neural links and neural laces. Some people say the barcode is the mark of the beast. But I can see why people definitely do look at this as mark of the beast times. You know me, folks. I try and keep it very secular, very generic, because if you tailor the information to one belief system or another, yeah, you're going to win a lot of fans from that group, but you're going to alienate a whole lot of people as well. And we're all just people. We've all got our own individual belief systems. And I think all of these belief systems all come from the same story anyway. We're all just told it and described it in different ways. So if we just keep it generic, I find that's the best way to bring barriers down. In a world where people are dividing themselves by identities and genders and all the rest of it, the last thing we need to do is be building more walls, right? And that's not criticism at all. It's just, you know, in recent times I've had a lot of trolling because I brought a medium onto the show and she was talking about being a white witch and Wicca and all that kind of stuff, and it really, really angered a lot of the Christian listeners to the show, and they've really been questioning me because obviously, you know, in recent times I used to come from the full scientific atheist point of view, and then I moved more towards Christianity. And because I'm not one of these copy and paste Christians, and maybe I don't look like I'm holier than thou on the outside, you know, people just kind of, I don't know, it's weird what people think and what they say and what they get up to. And I just think we're all human, you know? We're all one race. Yeah, we've all got different ideas and different belief systems, but we shouldn't let that define us or separate us. Isn't that what these pesky elites try to do? Just a thought. So we go back in here, and it says here, I'll be deleting all my accounts on the internet. And that's the master. You see, that's the thing, master. That sounds really good. It does, but one thing that always is stuck in my mind is the fact that you don't even need to be on Facebook to have a Facebook profile. Now, that's just an example of the fact that even if you give up your technology, there's still going to be ways and means for them to keep a file of data on you. And whether it's accessing other people's technology, maybe you're in somebody else's home with a smart device, something like that, they're going to get a file on you. It won't be as complete as somebody with all of their Facebooks and Twitters and everything else, admittedly. You're going to definitely give the algorithm some problems. But back to that mark of the beast thing, how long until, you know, maybe we have to participate in all of this before, you know, we're able to participate in commerce, you know? Maybe we have to have a social credit score. It'll be the same as being on the voting register, the voters roll, you know, the census. You will have to have your social credit score. I don't know, it's just a thought, right? Says it's an open-air prison system. It is. It's like the panopticon, an invisible panopticon. And what's a panopticon? I'll just bring that up here. Panopticon. Bring you the image up. This is a panopticon. This kind of thing here, where, you know, you've got all the prisoners in their cells, and you've got the one guard tower in the center, and over time, you know, you forget that's even there, right? You don't know if you're being watched all of the time or none of the time, and after a while, I think that's a good one there. You really do forget you're even in it. And our open-air prisons, it's crazy because it's digital. There's digital bars that we can't see. Yeah, I think this is the best description. The panopticon, the digital panopticon that we're in. Just picture, you know, big server in the middle there. All of our data, the algorithms running in here, and able to manipulate anyone, anywhere, everyone, everywhere. Strange times, folks. So I'm going to wrap it up soon. Just going to look for a few more comments in here. It says, oh gosh, this sounds like an avenue for sexual favours. That was Stimulate again. Back to where Just a Guy said that they've been putting a system in for 60 years. Yep. 5G is what they need for the real-time surveillance. Yep, absolutely. And so the machines can all talk to each other. Stupid cities are better, Philip Blair. Trust me, dude, we might be in the first smart city in Glasgow, but if I was to take you for just a 10-minute walk, that clown music that we're listening to, That would definitely be apt. Stupid city, for sure. Says here, public housing, sign me up for that nightmare. Hey, I'm in public housing, man. Well, it's like a housing association. It's different how it works over here. Something else we were talking about last night as well, myself and Nancy. You know, for young people growing up, how the hell are they meant to get a leg up onto the property ladder with some of the prices that are going around? And that makes me think, as moving into the future, you know, your Agenda 2030, people living in smaller shoebox-like homes, all that jazz. I can definitely see that coming. What else have we got here then? Tony Phillips doing a bit of overtime. I wouldn't say it's overtime. Overtime suggests I'd be getting paid. Just chilling. I'd have been doing this anyway, looking for stories. Data is never deleted, says the bearded traveller. Even when you think it's deleted, it's not. You can always get it back. Absolutely. There's programs you can buy or just download at home that will, when you've deleted files, it basically finds all the bits that it's been ripped up into. Think of a shredder, right? You put a file into a shredder and you've got all those bits of paper. It's actually no different in digital terms. It just kind of breaks the file up and it gets scattered here, there, and everywhere to the point where it's no longer a file. But if you've got the right software, you can go back in and piece it together. Hence how, you know, you've got the whole kind of forensic examination on computers, things like that. Nothing is ever deleted. Where are we? Somebody says, Kev may be starting a new live stream that's a coffee break and relaxed, laid-back interaction with the chatters. Yes, thank you for reminding me, Kristen. This is going to be my new thing. I'll be back tomorrow as well, probably earlier on in the day, just slightly earlier maybe. You know, while Anne's at work and before I get the dinner on. Yeah, I know, I'm like the domestic engineer in this place. It's crazy. Imagine having to eat my food. But yeah, definitely time to be doing more of these. From time to time as well, it will be member-only chat. And that's not to exclude anyone else out there. It's just to give the members that exclusive content that they deserve for really helping me to continue. And Acho says, love to watch you with Anthony Patch. The good old days, yes. But as happens in life, you know, we're all on our journeys. Sometimes our journeys bring us close together and everything's going fine and nothing in particular happens, just there's a fork in the road and, you know, one goes one way, another goes another, and it's cool. You know, and I know people would kind of harken back to the Anthony Patch, Kev Baker shows. Nothing stopping us doing a show in the future, probably. You know, but for me personally right now, especially the CERN side of things, with that being shut down, you know, I don't know. But yeah, I remember those shows as well. Yeah. So what else we got? Just been on Edge of Wonder channel. What a crock of... Yes, I'm not saying anything. Yes. Alan, I agree with you. We have got Flower Power. They still have that bad person's emails very soon now. No. I don't think so. Rika, most of the tax cattle seem to enjoy their open-air prisons. Yep. Teresa, I like the early stream. Good. My stuff is hacked and sold. Bad word. Plagiarism. Yeah, plagiarism on the net. It's a bad thing. And Kristen says this will be the perfect time of day for her when school starts. So that's good news. And that's about it, folks. You know, I had another story today about a monkey that was trying to escape from a zoo. But aside from that, I really just wanted to get into this afternoon streaming, and it's been a blast. Truly have. If you've enjoyed what you see, if you want to support the stream, there's various ways to do it. They're all in the links in the description below. Super Chat, Patreon, PayPal. And if nothing at all good. I'll still be back here tomorrow, be able to chill out, get some stories from you tomorrow. So if there's anything you want me to look into, within reason, that's algorithm friendly, we're just going to have nice, chilled, relaxed afternoon streams, then please join me tomorrow, similar time, same place. And of course, I'll be live tonight on the Kev Baker Show. I don't think I'll be simulcasting tonight. In fact, I'm not even sure. I might even take a little night off. I'm working on getting some guests on. We'll see what happens. Keep your eye on Facebook, on Twitter. I'll keep everyone up to date with everything KBS. If you're on the Patreon, remember I put a new article out today. It's all about the deepfakes, that kind of thing. Please check that out. There'll be a Patreon article update every day now as well. You see, I'm going to start filling my days up. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to double down in these times of oppression and censorship. What does Kev do? He sticks his head up further above the trench. So yeah, I do it all for you. So until tonight, until tomorrow, whenever it is, folks, thanks a lot for tuning in. I'll be back, same time, same place, like I say, tomorrow. Keep your eye open on the YouTube channel. Press the bell. Hopefully you'll get a notification when I'm going live, hopefully. And tomorrow I'll also put it out on Twitter. I'll put it out on Facebook beforehand. We can have our KBS coffee session number 2. So until then, folks, you keep it real, keep your minds open. Try and get into that heart vibration. Go and check into the Heart Math Foundation Institute, Heart Math Institute, to find out more about what I'm talking about there. Because as we move forward into these times of craziness and misinformation and the propaganda goes up, you're going to have to be the one, not an algorithm, you. You're going to have to be the one that uses your discernment, that scrutinizes everything until you're in a position where you're comfortable with what you think you're seeing and hearing and reading is real. And only you can do that. But you can't just do it with your head. You've got to do it with your heart as well. So until next time, love you all. If we get some music on now.